Hello, welcome back. We have coded out this code here that's going to find the average of each of these arrays here. And we're going to now introduce a function that's going to take care of this for us. So I'm going to still stay on this thing so that we can compare the code afterwards. So I'm just going to go ahead and comment this out. So now you can see that this code is not going to be running anymore. So if I reload the page, you'll notice that nothing comes out. So what we're going to do is just move this down. So once again, we're going to look back at this code that I commented out. We declared 10 variables, one for each of the sum, one for each of the average. We ran 5 different for loops and then consoled them all out. So as you can notice, that's a lot of work. So this is where a function comes. A function allows you to write a block of code that you can reuse, and it's going to make your code readable, more readable, because only one block is going to run it. And also, it's going to allow you to write less code, which I am totally in favor with. So we're going to do function, and then you just have to name it. So I'm going to call it find averages, just like that. And a function then takes in parameters or empty parameters, depending on where you're at. And then since functions are block level code, you're going then to put the curly brace on here. So that is generally what a function is going to look like. You have the declaration of the function. You're going to name it. You're always going to put these in, even if it's empty. And then curly braces. In this particular case, we are going to pass in something, and I'm going to call it array. Array is a variable name, so I could have named it this if I wanted to. But you should always name your variables astutely. So I'm going to call it array because I'm going to be passing in an array. So now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to initialize my variable. I'm going to do var equals 0 and var average equals 0. Quick tip here, you always want to make sure that your array, your functions names are different from any variables that you have on the page name. So for example, don't call this average and this average. JavaScript is not going to like that. So just a quick tip to save you some time in the future. So now we're going to write our for loop like usual. Instead, we're going to do array with it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to sum it up just like that. And then we're going to come down here. So this is the exact same context of how I did it before. The only difference is array now is taking on the placeholder of all the other arrays. Oops. So this is going to be array.length. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to return average. And by returning average, I will then get the data back from what the average is. So now a function will not run unless called. So this function will just sit idly here until called, and I'll prove it to you. So if I reload this page, notice that nothing is coming out. And even if I put a console log right here, hey you there, notice I'm reloading the page and nothing is happening because this function is not being called. And since it's not being called, it will not be used. So let's use it. So I'm going to set a new variable, and I'm going to do av customer equals. Notice that I can use that because I commented it out. And then I'm going to set it equal to my function. And functions always need parentheses, just like this. And since I want to find the customer, I'm going to pass in the customer. So let's go ahead and run this code. Wrong button. Oh, no wonder. I'm not console logging anything. So yeah, it's doing exactly what I'm asking it to do. Oh. Find averages, customer. Oh, because I wrote that. There you go. I'm going to keep those mistakes in there because that's real life. Nobody does it perfectly the first time. So I just spelled length wrong. And, I'm a grown man, so it's not like I have an excuse that I don't know how to spell length. Anyway, so now I've returned that. And then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to copy and paste quick. If I wanted to run each of the other ones, all I would need to do is this. Because each time I'm going to call it, and I guess in this particular example I used a different function name using some Sublime magic. So there you go. And so this is a quick way of understanding how functions vitally save us time. By the way, I moved this over here because I have OCD, so I don't like that the lengths are different. So look at this amount of code that we wrote. We wrote 100 and... Well, actually, I can just highlight this, and it'll tell me. So 1,300 characters and 53 lines of code for the without a function. This was 466 and 25 lines of code. So the amount of characters that we typed is literally divided by 3. And then divided by half for the amount of lines. And even if I could reduce some lines like right here and so on and so forth. But this is a very powerful example of why a function is really good. So say for example that our guy comes back and says, hey, I have 10 more rays to find the average of. Well, no problem. All I do is write one line right here, and then bam, I have it. And then what happens if it says that he wants to know the mode, meaning the number that occurs the most, or the median, the number that's in the middle, or something else? Then we can just write a function that's going to calculate that, rather than sifting through all these lines of code. So this is an example of why functions are so powerful and why we should always be using them whenever we can. Thank you.